Oh god, it's brick out. Time to make some soup. Hello everyone, I'm back with another simple recipe for as we New Yorkers call a brick winter season. I personally like these simple recipes for those lazy moments in my life, so I'm sharing this with all of you. If you can chop things and stir, you can definitely make this, so let's get started. First, I like to separate the stems from the mushroom caps, but you can skip this step and just chop these mushrooms whole. In my opinion, cooking has a lot of freedom, and if the end product ends up really tasty, then you've done a pretty good job. After I separate the stems, I'll give them all a rough dice. Oh, if you're wondering how I'm chopping things pretty quickly, well, one, I accelerated the footage, and two, it's just practice. If you take your time and learn properly, you'll get it too. For dicing or eventually mincing any ingredient, I like to place my non-dominant hand near the front of the knife to act as a lever, then use a rocking motion with my dominant hand to mince, or dice. After dicing the stems, we're just going to chop up the mushroom caps. Once done with the mushrooms, we're going to dice one medium onion. This is how I like to do it. So if you notice, there's a lot of chopping and cutting we have to do. There's a French term called mise en place, and I don't know if I butcher that pronunciation, but what it means is to have everything chopped and ready. If you have everything set up, you will have a less stressful time cooking in general, and this is good practice to do before starting any recipe. Prep work can take a good amount of time, so when you get good enough to do this quickly through dim reps, this part of the recipe will require much less time for anything. The last thing we have to mince is some garlic. Garlic gives the soup a nice fragrant smell and provides a lot of flavor as well. Last thing we have to prep is our chicken. Trim off any excess fat in the beginning. Proceed to cut your chicken into bite-sized pieces. I use chicken thighs also because that's what I had available in the house. I was lazy, didn't want to go out to buy chicken breasts. And chicken thighs tend to be better in soups as they get less dry when you cook them longer. You can use chicken breasts as well, but I'll let you know when to place in the soup, as it is a little different. Pat the chicken dry with a paper towel as this will help brown it easier when we start to pan fry the chicken. Now on to one of the most important steps, seasoning the meat. I just use some salt and pepper, nothing too fancy. The internet makes fun of peeps who don't season their food all the time, so you don't want to be one of those, would you? After adding the salt and pepper, I like to mix around with my hands so it's incorporated more evenly. Heat up some olive oil in a pot. I use my Dutch oven, and like I said previously, it's very versatile. When your pot is hot enough, add your chicken so we can brown it. This ain't a joke, so please don't skip this step. This is a crucial step for any flavor development in any meat. There's a scientific reason why, and it's called the Maillard reaction. I don't know the full reason, I'm not a scientist, but basically browning meats will create extra flavor. Your chicken should be good to flip when it's brown like this. You see a nice crust developing on the chicken. When you're done browning your chicken, take it out and reserve it for later. You can see some brown bits stuck in your pot, but don't worry, I'll explain what it is later. Melt 2 tablespoons of butter in the pot. When fully melted, we're going to add our chopped mushrooms and onions. Season with some salt and some black pepper as well. Give this a good stir and we will begin to saute these onions and mushrooms till most of the liquid evaporates. Onions and mushrooms have a lot of liquid and the salt helps draw it out. You can see right here that the moisture is being drawn out and slowly evaporating in these mushrooms and onions. When the onions and mushrooms cook down to around this level, we can add the minced garlic. This is when it will begin to smell even more amazing. Oh, I love this part. The brown bits on the bottom of the pot should be developing even more, and that's a good thing. This is what chefs refer to as fawn, and it's pure flavor developed from the Maillard reaction as discussed before. After around 1 minute or when the garlic smell becomes very fragrant, you can add a tablespoon of flour. This will help thicken the soup, but make sure to let it cook in the pot for a bit to take out that raw flour taste. After around another minute, we will now add around 1/4 cup of white wine to help deglaze the pan, which I find very interesting. What it means is that those brown bits, when you add the white wine, will actually unstick when you scrub it with a wooden spoon and combine with the white wine. This will combine to form even more unique flavors. Let the wine boil for a bit so we can cook off the alcohol. We don't want to be tasting that, you'd rather just drink it if that's the case. And then add 3 cups of chicken stock. A lot of cooking recipes will actually make you use the browning and then deglazing technique, so if you can master it, that's great. We're going to stir the soup a bit and then let it come up to a boil. When the soup comes to a boil, turn down the flame so you can only see a small amount of bubbles. This is considered a simmering level compared to boiling, and we will do it for 30 minutes. After the 30-minute simmering time, we will now add our chicken thighs and simmer again for another 30 minutes. Give the soup a good stir in case there's anything stuck on the bottom. Oh, and like I stated earlier, if you decide to use chicken breast, let it simmer for a lesser amount of time, I would say like 10 to 15 minutes to avoid drying it out. While the chicken is simmering, we can mince up some parsley to give the soup a fresher taste. I like to bunch it up and give it a quick chop before repeating the same technique that was used with the garlic. Once the chicken is done simmering, add a 1/4 cup of heavy cream to add a rich flavor to the soup. Give it a quick stir before adding the minced parsley from before and your soup is done. Wait a minute, did I say we were done? This is probably a step that most people miss, but make sure to taste the final product to adjust for seasoning. For me personally, I needed a little bit of extra salt, and I also like a lot of black pepper in my soup, so I cracked some more in. To adjust for seasoning, it takes some practice, but it's a good habit to do, and it definitely helps develop your taste buds more. Finally, the moment of truth, we're done with the soup. Eat some of the soup with the bread from my previous video, and you got an amazing, easy meal right there. Hope you all give this a try, as soup is perfect for these cold weathers and will warm your soul instantly. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you learned something out of it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and follow me on Instagram at WeCanCooks. Take it easy, everyone.